Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm feeling pretty good, and I decided let's get some content out there. I want to try to do more on this channel, and come up with some ideas that maybe not everyone else is thinking of. Which obviously, many content creators, that's the goal. But I've got some stuff that I'm cooking right now, and this video is one of them. Anyways, enough preamble. Let's get into kind of like more preamble, but about the topic of this video. So, if you're into anime or manga, you know that Hunter x Hunter has returned. Togochi is cooking up a storm right now, and the Succession War arc is incredible. I never want to be one of those channels that try to cover each chapter because honestly, I like having certain things just for, consumption and not to turn it into content. And there's plenty of channels out there, Manganimist or Manganimist. He's one that does an amazing job at breaking down every chapter, so go check out his videos if you want something like that. I'm doing something a bit more different, something that's a bit more within my niche. I was just talking to a friend about how all of Togashi's characters, especially, visually, they're so distinct and unique, and the cast of characters is immense. And then, he said the word cast. Oh, what a cast. And then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, this is a pretty great cast. Has anyone ever thought of fan casting these characters before? Because they're so visually distinct. It would be like a fun exercise to try to figure out which Hollywood or like, big shot actors could fit into these molds. Now, I know fan casting as a whole has become like a meme where like where every major movie is just like put Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, and Tom Holland in that shit and watch the money come in. Which like yes, I get it, it's funny. And I do have some picks in there that are like that, but I decided I wanted to fan cast the princes, the 12 princes that are at the four. Or is it 14? I think it's 12 that are at the forefront of the Succession War arc with various Hollywood actors or just people that I think would be a good fit. And yeah, so that's basically like gonna be the focus of today's video. Sorry for the long preamble, but if you've been on this channel for a while, I just talk and talk and talk and talk. But let's get into it. So we got first Prince Benjamin, which if you read today's chapter, he's on a mission right now, and honestly, he might be like probably my favorite. I'm low-key a Prince Benjamin fanboy because of like his character. He's done like a quiet kind of um well, not in the current chapters it's not so quiet, but he's got like a quiet competence to him. He is wise but also a little crazy. He definitely, I mean, he is trying to kill all of his siblings, whether no matter how old they are, and he's willing to do awful things and abuse his position of power to get what he wants. Like, he's not a great person, but compared to the rest of the princes, he's kind of a stand-up guy. He's wise, he respects loyalty, and he is loyal. He's lenient more so than like a lot of other people, especially if you read the last 3 pages of the new chapter. He doesn't really want to kill his siblings. He's like, it kind of sucks that they were born into this family. I hope that after I kill them, they're born into a better one. He pities everyone around him, because obviously they didn't ask for this. But regardless of that, he is like, he has a mission and he wants to accomplish it. And I respect how kind of like strong-willed he is in that sense. Anyways, when I was trying to think of like, so for each casting I've kind of separated into two categories: appearance, who I think most looks like the character, and who I think is actually a good pick to play them. And not all of the princes have this. Some of them are just one person, some of them are split into those two categories. But for Prince Benjamin, in terms of appearance, I thought I saw his face, and I'll be putting up the faces on screen. But I saw Prince Benjamin's face, and I was like, who he kind of reminds me of in terms of like mannerisms and like just the way he carries himself? Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren is a great actor. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's like a giant, and he's got this very stoic, a kind of East European coded face. I think he's Russian or Swedish. I think he's Swedish, but he's got a very stern face, and he plays a lot of Russians in movies. But well, I guess, or in Rocky 4 he plays a Russian. But besides the point, he really does look like Benjamin. He has like Benjamin's face and the aura. And while I like Dolph Lundgren, I've never imagined him to be like a super high tier actor or anything. Like, he does great in the movies he's in, but I've never felt a range of kind of emotion from him. Whereas Benjamin, he's like, he can be soft-spoken, he can be rageful, he can be kind of very calculating. He's not just a brute, and I think someone who embodies that build, but also that kind of like quiet sense of uh, strength and willpower, which can then blossom into like something very extreme, as we're seeing in current chapters. I think someone that embodies that very well is Dave Bautista. So he is who I would genuinely pick. And I know Dave Bautista gets a lot of flack because he takes on like a lot of comedic roles, and he was like a punching bag in the Guardians movies for a while, comedically speaking. But I mean, if you've seen him in some of his quieter roles, um, Blade Runner 2049. So I know people really talk up his role in that movie, but he is really good in like the 5 minutes that he has in that movie. And I think he needs to be afforded more serious roles because I think he's got that range. We just haven't seen it in the same way that we've been seeing it with John Cena. John Cena's got great range as well. So Dave Bautista for First Prince Benjamin, but I do think Dolph Lundgren probably is the better pick if we're just talking straight up like appearance wise. Let's move on to second Prince Camilla. Camilla's a little psychotic, but she does seem to have like a heart of gold to some extent. She's taken in these untouchables and she's given them like a place to live and like, integrity and dignity. Granted, and the thing is, I don't know if she asked them to kill for her or if they're just so down for her that they're willing to die for her cause. They haven't made that super clear yet. It might be a bit of both. But besides the point, I think someone that can play like cunning but also like kind of psychotic, Samara Weaving. And I'm hopping on the bandwagon a little bit because she did just get announced to play Emma Frost, and I think she's a great pick for Emma Frost. So I was like, shit, like a blonde lady who's like kind of tall, kind of crazy, but can also do like vulnerable and sweet. I mean, Camilla hasn't exactly been sweet so far, but she's got to have a sweet side if she's willing to take in like the lower dregs of society. That's just something that's I've like it's like fan canon in my head, but that's just like a thought that I had. And so I think Samara Weaving could embody that kind of that duality in Camilla quite well. And I mean, Camilla's drawn as a very beautiful woman, and Samara Weaving is a very good looking person. So I think that could, and blonde hair, long blonde hair, I think that could work out pretty well. Now we got third Prince Zhongli. This one I had some trouble with because he's a short black man. Not a lot of those. As far as I mean, I tried looking. It was weird. I was like up late at night, like short black actors, and they were all like, "Oh, you mean under 5'8"? Kevin Hart." I'm like, Kevin Hart as Jean Lay. That would be funny as fuck. But no. So unfortunately, I don't think I can get Jean Lay's height correct with my fan cast. But the people that I did pick out, appearance wise, I think if you put some prosthetics on Daniel Kaluuya. Oh, by the way, before Daniel Kaluuya is my appearance pick. But before I get into that, it's just obviously some of these actors are way older than how old they're supposed to be. I'm not really paying attention to all that. I'm just trying to think who can they embody the character from based on what I've seen from them, and do they kind of look like the character? That's what I'm aiming for. I'm not age is too hard to get right. I'm sorry, it's just hard because Dolph Lundgren is like I think 60 something, and he'd obviously be too old to play Benjamin. Besides the point, Jean Lay. I think Daniel Kaluuya, if you age him up a little bit and put some makeup on him, I think he could look like Jean Lay. But if we're talking who I would want to play Jean Lay, like we're talking like a heavy hitter, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering this pronunciation, Jimon Hunsu, he was in Blood Diamond, and he was in a couple of Marvel. He was that one guy in Guardians of the Galaxy that comes up to Peter Quill, but I don't want to disrespect him like that. He's in a lot of great movies, and he's a fantastic actor. And I think he could, Jean Lay is very calculating. A lot of what we've heard from him is just his own inner monologue. We haven't seen a lot of interaction besides the stuff that he talked to Kurapika about. But I think he's got like this quiet, cunning. He's a little bit not I don't want to say silly, but he does have like he's not super serious. I think Jimon Honsu can have like the serious face and the cunning kind of personality while still maintaining like a friendly enough outwards appearance, which is what Jean Lay I feel has been trying to do. Fourth, Prince Saradnik. I think this one was a no-brainer for me. If you've seen this artwork, oh sorry, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. If you've seen this artwork right here, which Tadashi released right before the start of the new chapters, he looks like Austin Butler. And I do think Austin Butler has the chops to pull off a role like Saradnik. So, I don't like I mean I did put prime Christian Bale as another option, but I think Christian Bale, I think he would probably be the better pick as an actor, but again, he's a little too old right now. Um Well, Austin Butler's great. You know, he has range. People made fun of him because of his he didn't get rid of his Elvis accent for a while, but he's got range. You know, he's in the recent stuff he's been in. He's I know he can do more, and he can play psycho. He can play like serious. He can play calm. He's got a wide bevy of roles that I think suit him. And I mean, he looks just like Saridnik in this photo. I'm putting it up again. He looks just like Saridnik in this photo. So I think Austin Butler for Saridnik is like a slam dunk casting. If they don't, like I'm saying this as if they're gonna make a movie. If they don't do that, missed opportunity. Let's talk about Fifth Prince to Beppa. I had some trouble with this because Tubeppa's got a very peculiar jawline that I had trouble kind of reconciling with a specific actor. But then again, Togashi does draw people kind of like with exaggerated proportions. So I think I tried to focus in on, uh, purely from a appearance standpoint, who do I think would fit? As far as I'm concerned, Tubeppa is also non-binary. I don't think we've been given like proper pronouns for them at this point. So I tried to go for non-binary actors as well. That therefore, so appearance-wise, I think Tilda Swinton's got a killer jawline. I know she's not. At least I think she's not non-binary, but she's got a killer jawline. So I think she could embody that like no nonsense kind of aura that Tubeppa's got. And to be fair, we haven't seen a lot from Tubeppa recently, but I think she could really embody that. Then we got Emma Corrin. Emma Corrin is non-binary. They've also got a crazy jawline. I liked them in Nosferatu and in Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think they could pull off that like intense kind of business only vibe. Although we've seen that Tuipa does care about their underlings, their associates. They do care about other people, and they don't think the war is a great thing. I think Emma Corrin can embody all of that. They're a wonderful actress, so or actor, sorry. But yeah, Emma Corrin is my pick for Tubeppa. I mean, just put some glasses on him, give him a little bob, and like I think they kind of look like Tubeppa, right? So now, uh, I hate to say it, I really did rack my brain for this one. Sixth Print, I can't talk. Sixth Prince Tyson. I think Tyson is a woman. I think that's been confirmed. Um, I had a I had a hard time choosing this one because it's like everyone that I thought of Melissa McCarthy. Um, I thought of another person. There's in my mind right now. Honestly, I thought of Octavia Spencer, not because obviously the races don't really match, but I think Octavia Spencer could have that kind of like a childlike innocence that Tyson seems to have or weaponize. I think Octavia Spencer could embody that. But the thing is, it's just hard to find anyone appearance-wise because Tyson looks like a child. I'm pretty sure she's not a child, but she looks like a child, and she's very stout. That's why I thought Melissa McCarthy initially, but Melissa McCarthy's pretty old, and Tyson's like one of the younger princes. So I don't know. I was having a lot of trouble with this one. If you guys have any ideas, let me know because I literally my document says question mark question mark. I'm just picking Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer because they were passing like fleeting thoughts in my head. But Tyson was probably the hardest one to figure out. Um, then we had Seventh Prince Lazarus. Now, if looking at this photo of Lazarus specifically, I think he looks a lot like Adrian Brody, like the jawline, the scruff on their face. I think he looks a lot like Adrian Brody, and Adrian Brody's a great actor. I think he could pull it off. Um, but I do think, and I know I said I'm not factoring age into my considerations too much, but Adrian Brody is pretty old, and Lazarus is the one of the younger princes, so I thought this would be a bit too much of a discrepancy. However, I do think that if Adrian Brody was like 10 years younger, he could probably take this role and do a great job with it. But another thing that came to mind is when I look at Lazarus, he just kind of, and I mean taking his hair into account, he kind of strikes me as like a South Asian or maybe even black. I know he's not like colored like a black person in the the book. I'm saying this. I sound insane, but I know he's not like they didn't uh they don't make him look like a black person in the book or a brown person for that matter. But I don't know, something about his vibe and like his hair I think does a lot of the heavy lifting. Kind of reminds me of like a person of color. So I put forward Aramis Knight, who I'm forgetting what I saw him in. Right. Okay. I remember. I saw him. I looked it up. I saw him in Karate Kid Legends back. Like I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I forget. But I saw him in that, and I think he's got like kind of this wavy hair and like this kind of laissez-faire attitude, um, which I think fits Lazarus quite well. So that's probably who I go with just to embody Lazarus fully. I think Adrian Brody is probably the better pick in terms of like face shape and just like who's the better actor between the two. But Aramis Knight, I think he could. I think he could do it. I think he again. I haven't seen a lot of his films, but I think just from like a visual standpoint and from like his vibe, his attitude, I think he could pull off Lazarus pretty well. And also, to be fair, Lazarus doesn't have a huge role in the story as of yet. He's shown up like a couple times here and there just to say some stuff or like say like comedic relief, really. And he doesn't seem to be taking the events of the Succession War too seriously either. So hiring like an A-lister like Adrian Brody for like a relatively small role, not necessary. And you give like a non-A-lister like more screen time. I think that's a good thing. Honestly, if it were really up to me, if I was a casting director, this list would be unknowns, like people you've never seen in a movie before. That would be my actual wish for this cast. Alas, I'm not a casting director. I don't have access to like a thousand aspiring actors, so I'm just picking people that I know and people that I think would fit. But alas, we move on. 8th Prince Saleh Saleh. Now, this is both a joke and my actual pick, Jacob Batalon. And is it because he's the CEO of Sex? Absolutely. And 8th Prince Saleh Saleh, I mean, if you read the manga, there's no better role for the CEO of Sex to embody than this one. But yeah, I think Jacob Batalon is super talented. I think I hate to I hate to cast people because of their appearance, but like he's a little heavy and he's lost a lot of weight. He's lost a lot of weight. I'm not taking that away from him, but he's a little bit on the heavier side, and so is Saleh Saleh. And I think it just works. I think I would love to see Jacob Batalon's been like a super kind of he's been in a lot of earnest roles. I know he's played like a couple of different types of roles, but I've mostly seen him in Spider-Man movies and that one with Jason Momoa where he like parkours and stuff. Like he mostly plays like an earnest dude that wants to do good. So I think it would be really cool to see him in like just the depths of depravity, surrounded by women and like alcohol and drugs, and then just like he dies kind of early on too. Spoilers, I guess, but I think it would be fun to see him and like go from like a mostly earnest kind of good guy role to just like this depraved like CEO of Sex role. So I think that'd be really fun. 9th Prince Holgenberg. My friend who I initially pitched this idea to, he said Robert Pattinson. And listen, Robert Pattinson can do any role. Robert Pattinson can do every role on this list as far as I'm concerned. That dude's a chameleon. He can do anything. But I think in terms of just who I think matches the vibe of Hulkenberg a little bit better, I've seen Robert Pattinson in a lot of like freak weirdo roles, and Hulkenberg's pretty. He's got conviction. He's really serious, and I mean Robert Pattinson has also played Batman, which is why again I say he could play this role. But I think Thomas Rhys Davies, who's playing not Carlos, Clayface in the new Clayface movie. I haven't seen a lot of his work, but just from the way he looks and like they got the same jawline as Hulkenberg. And just from what I've seen very briefly of his work, I think he could play that serious kind of locked in persona very well. And Hulkenberg he means business at all times, right? He's currently First Prince Benjamin's like biggest kind of roadblock to success with what he did with Balsa Milko and all that. But yeah, I think Thomas Rhys Davies could embody that kind of vibe very well. Although, if I'm a betting man and I'm putting money on this, I think Robert Pattinson is probably the best pick because again, crazy jawline, amazing capabilities, change his voice into anything, and he's capable of playing a super intense, serious dude as well. So I think it's a toss up between those two personally. Next up, we got 10th Prince Cacho. And listen, this is kind of like a basic pick, but I think McKenna Grace looks a lot like Cacho. Just give her a little bob. But I think McKenna Grace, Cacho is a very interesting character because she puts on this kind of facade of like happy-go-lucky, and she's always helping her sister out, and she's like a great like energetic, great to be around. But then on her own, she's super serious. She's got this mission like I have to save my sister. She's willing to do anything. She's got like that adult mindset. I think McKenna Grace could probably embody those two mindsets very well. McKenna Grace is a wonderful actress as well. Like I think she could do a lot with Cacho and this role. Now, we do run into a bit of a problem here because 10th Prince Cacho and 11th Prince Fujitsu are technically twins. Now, they don't exactly look alike because, different hair. I don't know what their ethnicity is exactly. It's not very obvious in the book. But for my sake, like for the sake of the casting, I made Kacho white and I'm making Fujitsu Asian. I want Mia, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, Chech, or is it Sech? I'm not sure. But Mia Sech, who plays Toph in the live action Avatar series, who, by the way, I think she's the best part of that. I haven't watched the series, but I've seen like her screen because people have told me not to watch it. As a big fan of it, they're like, don't watch that series. It'll just ruin Avatar for you. So I said, okay, I won't watch it. But I've seen Mia Sech's like more emotional moments because people say Toph was really good. I've also seen that one scene where she's like, my name's Toph Bayfon. I invented metal bending. um, that wasn't great, but I don't blame her for that. That's the writing. That's all the writing. But that's besides the point. I think McKenna Grace and Mia Sech, from what I've seen from both of them, I think they could play well off of each other, and I think they could have like that sibling dynamic. Again, they're different ethnicities completely. You could say they're twins, and just ignore the fact that they're different, races. I guess what you could do is just take Mia Sech and put her in both roles, or take McKenna Grace and put her in both roles if you really want to make them twins. As far as I'm concerned, they're not identical twins in the book. They have different colored hair and everything. But yeah, this is like my one caveat, I guess. It's like they are twins, but they don't look the same. You can still be sisters and still love each other very much. You don't have to be twins to do that. So I don't think that being twins is super duper important to the story. I know some purists might get mad at that, but that's just my opinion. Moving on to 12th Prince Momose, or Momose. She's not exactly important to the story. I had cast her as Abby Ryder Fortson. She was Cassie Lang in the first Ant-Man movie, the little girl. She's grown up now, as you can see. There's a photo right here. And she does kind of bear passing resemblance to Momose. They have like curly hair and fair skinned. So I mean, we don't know anything about Momose because she's fucking dead and she died really early on. So sorry, Abby Ryder Fortson, but I mean, with what little screen time Momose probably has, I'm just looking for someone that looks kind of like her, and Abby Ryder Fortson does. Now, 13th Prince Mariam, I run into the same issue that I run in with for the 14th Prince, and that's that they're just young and they haven't really done anything in the story for me to get a vibe from them. I mean, 14th Prince is a child, a baby, so just pick a baby and that you'll be all right. 13th Prince Mariam is tough because, and I hate to end the video on like a sour note, just be like, I don't know, but I don't know because 13th Prince Mariam is just like a kid who we've seen like twice, maybe three times in passing. So I've got no idea what to do about that. I apologize. But that is my cast list for Hunter x Hunter's Succession War Princes. This was pretty fun to do. Yeah, I'm thinking if this video does well, people want to see more, I might do the Phantom Troop as well, and maybe other members of the cast for this arc, because there's so many cast members. There's so many characters running around on this boat that I think it would be fun to try to put an actor to their face. This was honestly hard enough, so putting the Phantom Troop together will be tough, and putting the rest of them together will be tough. But people like this video and it does well. And maybe we'll do a little bit of something. Maybe we'll do a little bit of that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day. And like, comment, subscribe, I guess. I'll